Morning, you're watching the FIFA World Cup special program. I'm Sunil Yashkalra of Indian Sports Fan. The 2022 FIFA World Cup saw its first upset of the tournament yesterday. Saudi Arabia beat tournament favourites Argentina 2-1 and secured a historic win. The Saudi Arabia government declared a national holiday today to commemorate the historic win over Argentina. The match was not without controversies. VAR denied Argentina an equalizer and disallowed the goal scored by Martinez. In another Group C match, Mexico and Poland played a goalless draw after a Mexican goalkeeper saved a Lewandowski penalty. In today's fixtures, the game to watch out are Germany taking over Japan and Spain versus Costa Rica. Well, joining us in the studio is our colleague Patrick Green, the sports journalist live from Doha, Qatar, who's had a fantastic 2 days, eventful days from Doha. Welcome to the show, Patrick. My first question, is it the norm? I mean, the upsets of the World Cup, are they here to stay or is it one-off?
Yeah, good morning. There always seems to be a big upset at the start of a tournament, perhaps the most famous in 2002 when Senegal beat France. In the last tournament, I think it was Mexico beating Germany. So there is always upsets at the World Cup. It's part of the reason the World Cup is so special.
Do you think the Argentinian team came in very confident and said, hey, it's like a walk in the park, and suddenly they faced their worst nightmare, the worst possible day in the office? Would you agree to that?
That's certainly how it seems. I mean, who knows what state the Argentine players came in. The media was certainly very confident, and the general fan base, I think everybody in football expected Argentina to win. But yeah, that's football. When you play against a team that's so clearly inspired, it becomes very difficult. It doesn't matter how talented you are. And Argentina found that out the hard way yesterday.
Let's focus on Argentina a little bit. You had the debutants, the Romero, the Emi, the Paredes, the Dupont, and nothing from Papu. I mean, do you think Lautaro was the only saving grace in the entire team? They weren't running back enough. They weren't giving the long passes. They were just relying purely on their talent. Was that the problem? And especially the youngsters in the team?
Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, part of it was that I think not tracking back is always going to cost you. But part of it, I think, was they were throwing the kitchen sink and they were getting frustrated quite easily. It's almost as if they didn't know what to do. They weren't expecting Saudi Arabia to defend like that. And they were just like, hold on, what's this? What's happening? What are we meant to do against a team like this? And in the second half especially, they were just sort of putting balls in, hoping something stuck. Nothing really worked. And they got frustrated. It's like being confronted with a puzzle you just don't know how to solve. And you could see it just looking at their faces that they were like perplexed at the riddle in front of them.
Patrick, what do you think of the first goal? Do you think there was a slight chance for the Argentinian goalkeeper to save that particular goal, or it was a complete goal written all over it?
I mean, when you're a goalie, you want to save everything. I think there probably is that, but given what a good day it was for Saudi Arabia, we can probably overlook that, right, and just celebrate two brilliant goals from Saudi Arabia. But yes, I think you're probably right that Martinez will be a bit disappointed with that.
Well, we're talking about Argentina and Saudi Arabia's thing. It's a huge momentous day. Saudi Arabia being the underdogs and being underlined for far too long. They come out in the open and they take Argentina to the cleaners. Do you think that the experts and the fans are miffed by the fact that Argentina could only score one, or the Saudis scored two and won the match?
Well, some fans are miffed, but I think most fans are absolutely delighted for Saudi Arabia. Everybody loves an underdog story, and it's the first Arab World Cup. In 2010, we had the first African World Cup, and everybody fell in love with the Ghana team. Now it seems that maybe Saudi Arabia is that team for the first Arab World Cup or the first Muslim World Cup. I know that all across the Arabian Peninsula, they were celebrating. I have a friend who lives in Jordan, and in Jordan, they were celebrating like it was their own team. So yeah, some people will be upset. A lot of Argentina fans, a lot of Messi fans, but I think a lot of people will be celebrating because football fans always love an underdog story.
Well, you spoke about Messi. Let's go deep dive into the magic of Messi. Do you think it was missing? Not only missing, but it was terribly away. He was a shadow of a player that once he was used to be. Would you agree to that? Or is it too early in the day to write him off?
You can never write him off, can you? I mean, so many times people have tried to put the sort of, the death knell, the obituary for Messi, and he always seems to find a way to show that he's still got it. But it does seem that he perhaps can't light it up like he used to, especially when the rest of his teammates aren't playing that well. But listen, Argentina have 2 games in the group to make it right, and I wouldn't count out Messi whatsoever. I think that you do that at your peril, don't you? But listen, the Saudi Arabian defenders can always have this game where they seem to have Messi locked up. And that's something they can tell their children and their grandchildren. I played against the great Lionel Messi, and I came out on top.
So for posterity, that was a great game. But now, if you look at the statistics, Messi had 2 or 3 clear chances for the shoot, but he keeps making it to his left, which is his dominant leg. Do you think that was his downfall, where you could actually, instead of scoring or just passing that crucial shot, you just try to make a mess of it because you're just so enamored by your performance? What do you have to say about that?
Yeah. Well, there's a saying that sometimes you just need to pull the trigger, and there was one particular case which stood out to me where he took 3-4 touches, where perhaps a more confident player as well just shoots, because Messi knows where the goal is, right? If he can shoot for a bit earlier and still find the back of the net, and he just took 1, 2, 3 touches. Now, I don't know what Messi's state is, but that seems like often when a forward does that, it's because they're lacking in confidence.
Right.
So yeah, Messi perhaps will want to be, just taking the shot at some point, because he did give some of the defenders an opportunity to track back.
In fact, you made a very interesting point about how Messi could, or even he could make a mess of things. But however, let's take a step back. When you talk about coaches to coaches, I think the Saudi Arabian coach, Hervé Renard, amazing coach. He started off as a physical trainer. He was working with the African teams. He's won Morocco to the first World Cup in 20 years in 2018. He beat the 2022 World Cup favourites Argentina for Saudi Arabia. And he's also won AFCON titles twice. What do you make of him?
Yeah, I knew who Renard was, but he's put another feather in his cap. He's known as like an expert on African football, with his exploits with Zambia, Cote d'Ivoire, and then Morocco. And now he's got, as I said, another feather in his cap with Saudi Arabia. And for Saudi football, it's remarkable. I mean, in 2018, their first game in the World Cup was losing 5-0 against Russia. They have in 2002, an 8-0 loss against Germany, a 3-0 loss against the Republic of Ireland. So they've often managed to get through Asian qualifying and then really finding it difficult against the big teams. Now they have this big result against one of the all-time greats, and they have Renard to thank. He'll probably never be forgotten in Saudi Arabian football history, even if he doesn't achieve anything else. But he has a really good chance of getting them to the knockouts, and who knows, when you're in the knockouts, anything can happen.
So, was he tactically stronger, or the guys just played full press? I mean, they were relentless in their attack. They were just making chances and also trying to play a little bit rough game. Do you think they were just completely throwing it to the wolves when they came out for the attack?
Yeah, well, being a manager, part of it is tactical, but also motivational. He finds a way to motivate players, motivate underdogs as well. And he certainly managed to do that, and he did it without any nerves. I think a lot of people commenting wearing a white shirt in the blazing desert heat and not sweating at all. He was the calmest man in the whole stadium, and yeah, his players rewarded him. And when a team plays like that, it's because they love their manager. They want to go out and die for him, right? And that's what they did.
Well, Patrick, we won't let you go. Since you are an Englishman in Doha, I've borrowed that line from the Sting song, but I'm going to not let you go with two of the biggest news of England, football. One is Ronaldo and Manchester United just parting off amicably, and Glazers finally wanting to get out of Manchester United for a $5 billion deal, and they're waiting for the investors. What is your take? Quick 30 seconds on it.
Well, we'll start with Ronaldo. It seems to be mutually beneficial. The fans didn't really want him there after his interview, and I think Ronaldo wanted to leave. As for the Glazers looking to sell, that's what United fans have wanted for years. There's been big protests. They even started their own club just to be away from Glazer. So I think United fans are happy with both pieces of news on the whole.
Great. It's a nice time to be a football fan. Thank you, Patrick Green, for joining us from Doha. This is NewsX special presentation brought to you by Dafa News. Stay tuned for more. We go in.